Welcome to another video of Dreamdata. Today we're going to look at training on revenue analytics. Revenue analytics is highly connected to journeys. We will look mainly into the reports of revenue analytics, but also how that is connected to journeys. Revenue analytics consists of revenue reporting, revenue segmentation, revenue attribution models, and content analytics reports. The main characteristics of revenue analytics is looking at leads, opportunities, and deals based on a certain point in time where we generated certain deals, and we're looking backwards. So we're looking at, backwards from revenue, how many or what channels, what events contributed to generate those deals. So main focus here will be deals, leads, and opportunities. These are all reports that you can find under revenue analytics. Revenue reporting gives you an overview of how many leads, opportunities, and deals did we generate per stage. Segmentation gives you the opportunity to look at if you're working with different markets, different countries, if you're trying to understand different deals based on account managers, that is what you'll be able to segment. Revenue attribution will show you then, that is where we actually analyze quite well what channels are contributing and working best. And then content analytics, which will show you, given to a certain amount of revenue that you generated, what content on your website that actually perform well enough to contribute to this revenue. So we're looking at specific content on your website that has been mapped out before. How to map out that content, we have a specific video for that will not be explained in here. So what is the main problem that we see on B2B? So B2B customer journeys tend to be quite complicated and complex. So that means we have several different stakeholders involved at several different times where they come into the conversation, into the process. And then we obviously also see that people are using different devices, sometimes laptop, why not phones, different devices. Also the cross-device tracking is an issue, and then to see what content is it that people are looking at and when does really the deal close, like what interaction happened in between, what content was actually serving the purpose of bringing us closer to the end line of closing a deal. So we have long sales cycle and mostly a lot of channels that overlap, and so that makes everything a bit complicated and confusing. But that's why we have Dreamdata, because we're trying to find the original source. We're trying to understand what started a journey, what's ending a journey, and then obviously also what person, what stakeholder is coming into the whole scene at what point in time. So what is attribution? Why are we talking about this attribution thing? So as you can see on the right-hand side, we can see something that without attribution, you would, for most of the other products outside, you'll get, say from HubSpot, this is the first touch. We have seen somebody submitting a form. This is where the journey starts. However, we figured out that with attribution, you actually get more. You actually also able to get all the anonymous touches, which is what we can see below in green. So while certain systems are showing you everything that happens after somebody submits a form and counts that as a first touch, we're showing you also what happens in the dark. So what happens while people were anonymous and not showing who they are. So we're able to track these people. They get an anonymous ID. And then at some point when they convert and then give us their email address, we will be able to connect the dots to give you the full customer journey. And that makes the difference. So what are the different attribution models that we apply on revenue analytics? We have linear, first touch, last touch, W-shaped and U-shaped. So we distinguish between multi-touch and single touch. And then in this case, and we have one more that's actually the data-driven, which is a new attribution model we have added, which is based on an algorithm that is calculating the customer journeys. Based on the ones that we can see here, we can clearly see that the single touches of the journey, which is on the top, receive a different weighting. So linear is distributing same equal weight to each touch point. First touch, 100% to the first, last touch, 100% to the last. And then W-shaped and U-shaped is distributing the amount of weight or credits between the different touches. What do we do with this information? So most cases that we can see is whenever you're trying to investigate what is starting a journey, you would use first touch. What is ending a journey, or what is the last touch before something happens, before somebody closes a deal, or before a certain lead reaches the sign-up stage or marketing qualified status. Then we'll apply last touch. And then W-shaped, U-shaped, and linear, which are the multi-touch attribution models, are usually there in order to understand what other channels are also contributing and which channels have we mostly maybe neglected because we were not aware before that these channels are actually bringing some value into it. So this story here tells a bit more of how does it work. So we're looking at always when we apply attribution, first interaction till the first aim. So in this case, we're looking at first interaction versus lead. So we're trying to understand the blue dots in between. We'll see somebody landing on your website, and then if we ask, what is the first touch? We're looking at the first blue dot. What is the last touch? We're looking at the last blue dot. If we were to apply multi-touch attribution, that is the W-shaped, the U-shaped, and the linear model, we will be looking at all blue dots. If we were looking or trying to analyze what is bringing our leads to become marketing qualified or sales qualified leads, if we're asking what was the first touch, we will be looking at the first blue dot. That is basically where after the first interaction. And the last blue dot, if we're looking at the last touch, that will be the last dot before reaching MQL or before reaching SQL stage. This in the example, you can see on the right-hand side, where would you see those stages? How does it look like in the product? And again, depending on your setup, this might be 10 stages, but it could also be only 5 stages or 3 stages, depending on how it's set up. This just as the explanation on how it works. Now we'll be jumping in the product to look a bit how that thing works in life. So this is basically your Dreamdata account. Whenever you log in, this is the first thing you will see. And for our current session, we will jump into revenue analytics. And the first report we will look at is called revenue reporting. Revenue reporting does not apply any attribution. In this case, we're looking at this quarter. The stage is new business. So depending on what stage you're analyzing, you can switch between them. In this case, we only have 2 stages, but as I said, this depends on your setup. Time, you can jump between the time. You can select also specific time windows that we have set here. And then you have further filters to look at certain industries, employee size, revenue, account owner, and change if you would like to aggregate the value day, weekly, monthly, quarterly. Within revenue reporting, as I said, you do not apply attribution because this is mostly the report that you would use in order to compare the amount of leads and deals that we're showing you versus other systems that you're using, just to make sure the data is accurate. Revenue segmentation. Here you would be segmenting based on company country, on industry if you're working with different industries, employees, again, annual revenue and account owner. And now we have a story to tell. Here we can see we have for this quarter generated 77 contacts. That means we've been able to identify 77 people that have provided us with an email address. Out of those 77 people, some of them gave us their email address based on their work email address. So we'll be able to identify 16 companies. And those 60 companies represent 16 deals. How much is it worth and what the value is, that depends on whatever you have set up for these stages as being worth. Now, we will have here also seeing average amount of contacts created, channels and sessions. But most importantly, if you're filtering to understand how countries are performing, say we are going to look at the United States and we're going to compare it with Australia and the United Kingdom, it is not enough to just set the tick. We need to click on apply, and then we'll see how the system changes and shows us only these 3 countries. The first visualization under value and deals by country is just for you to get an idea. We get basically under performance by country a table that will show you exactly how many deals we generated per country, which also helps you then to understand, okay, which country is performing best. And then when you click on the blue numbers, it would actually connect you directly to journeys where you will be able to see how many deals did we generate there. So let's do that for a second. So we can see here now, these are the 7 deals that were generated, and then which are the deals. From the video before, from performance and journeys, you will understand how the whole view and journeys works. This was just to demonstrate how it is connected. Now let's return to revenue analytics and jump in revenue attribution. Now comes the interesting part. So revenue attribution has top filters as the other reports as well. We are looking at the new business stage and data-driven attribution. So if we click on the attribution filter, we'll be able to switch between the attribution models and then see what is happening with our data in here. What is the story that we're telling here? For this quarter, we were able to achieve 16 deals. This is the total value of those deals. And now the question will be obviously what is contributing or what contributed to generate those 16 deals. And then we can see that mostly here, based on the data-driven attribution, which is the algorithm that is calculating our customer journeys and comparing them constantly. That means for the new business stage, what is predominantly working here is emails and then followed by paid and review sites. If we were to apply and then to ask, let's see what is it that is starting a journey, we would look into, click into attribution and say, please show me what was the first touch. If we select the first touch, then the whole model is showing us what starts the journey. If you remember the dots, we're looking at the first blue dot. That is, mostly people are coming through our review sites, organic, paid, our partner programs, some referral, and social media. This is quite typical for the first touch. If we look at last touch, we'll probably have more calls, meetings, emails happening, because that is when mostly sales is more active. Whenever we're looking at the first touch, that is mostly marketing having their game. If we look further down, we'll find something that says performance summary by channel. By clicking on here, the whole table will open up and you'll see the full amount of data. In this view, we'll show you just a small summary of the top performing channels. We will see the linked contacts and influence deals. And as explained before, whenever you clicked on the influence deals, that will send you directly to journeys so you can further investigate what happened to those deals, who was involved, what is working for each individual company. Let's go to attribution models. The report attribution models is mostly a help to understand those models. Because usually once you start working with Dreamdata, you might have heard of multi-touch attribution. You've mostly probably worked with first touch, last touch, and linear, or maybe W-shaped, but you'd like to understand how does it work with the different models? What is the comparison really? What's the difference? And I think attribution model really helps you to see what are the different attribution models suggesting which channels are performing best. So we're looking at this quarter, again at new business, and then we're having our attribution models up here on the right corner. We can click on them. If we hover over them, we can see them highlighted basically. And now the idea of my probably recommendation in this case is take attribution models, say data-driven, and let's compare it to the W-shaped, and then tick off the rest of the attribution models to see what is it that they recommend. And here you can see the differences. So based on the attribution model W-shaped, it would credit more to social. Based on the attribution model data-driven, chat would have a bigger impact. Same happens with emails, and the same interesting observation we make on organic search. So W-shaped would basically grant organic search more value, while data-driven says the predominant important channel is emails, followed by paid, and then organic and meetings, for example. But so in this case, you can analyze and you can compare and see what is suggesting what, and that gives you also the idea which channels did you maybe not consider as such important, or which channels did you maybe consider as way too important, while the data-driven attribution model, which is based on math, is actually showing a different story. Let's go to content analytics. Under content analytics, you can then see, based on a certain amount of money, our total value, how many deals did we generate. We have again the same filters all over the place. We will look now at, basically we have group by URL, and then let's take here group by channel and source in order to see where is people coming from, which pages are the most interesting. Under metrics and graph, we're looking at influence leads, prospects, and deals. You could have also change it to see visitors, for example, sessions, contacts, companies. So it depends on what you would like to analyze. Now we're seeing the different URLs and where people are coming from. So we can see that our most performing URLs at the moment is Dreamdata.io, we know, followed by our app, and then we'll find people are looking at our demo, people are looking at journeys, at content that we have created that's specifically within our app. People are interested in looking at sign up for free, and whenever you hover with your mouse over these graphics, you can see how many people actually are coming from the different sources. This again is just an overview. There's so much more to discover, which you can do by clicking on performance, group by channel, and source. That will open up the full table for you to see what happened. And here you can see again the URL, channel source, the amount of session, contacts, influence deals. If you like to dig a bit deeper into how many contacts or exactly what companies are mentioned here, you can click here and actually download the lists of influence deals, companies, and contacts. This is it for our session, revenue analytics and journeys. As I said, journeys is touched on the other session with performance and journeys. In this case, it was just a connection to show, but mostly our emphasis was on revenue analytics. If you have questions, please go to this bubble and then click on it. It will open a window where you will be able to chat with us. If you'd like to understand a bit more about our product, and go to support, help, and support, and you'll land on our help desk. There you'll be able to read articles and find also more videos and content for you to learn on how to use Dreamdata. Otherwise, if you have a CSM assigned, please reach out. We are more than happy to help you out. Thank you so much for listening, and we hope to see you soon in another video.